You ever walk into your own house and feel like you just don't belong there anymore? I don't mean like after a long vacation or something. I mean that deep, cold feeling in your gut. Like your home turned into someone else's house overnight and you're the uninvited guest. That's what hit me when I came back early from a work trip. No surprise welcome. No, hey babe, you're back early, from my wife Eloise. Just silence. Our German shepherd, Roscoe, barely barked, and that dog normally acts like I've returned from war every time I step through the door. But that wasn't even the weird part. It was my stepdaughter, Sage. She was sitting on the couch in the living room, phone in hand, but the second she saw me, her whole body tensed. She glanced up, froze for a second, and then looked right back down like I wasn't even there. Now here's the thing, Sage and we used to be close. I came into her life when she was 6, and by the time she hit high school, I was dad in every way but blood. I helped with math homework, walked her down the halls when she had a breakdown, took her to every dance recital. And that little girl used to run and hug me like her life depended on it. But not that day. That day, she couldn't even hold eye contact. And in that moment, I knew something was wrong. Let me ask you this. If your stepdaughter suddenly starts acting like you're a stranger, would you trust your gut or brush it off? Type yes if you'd trust your gut. Type no if you'd ignore it. I really want to hear your take in the comments. And while you're here, do me a solid. Hit that subscribe button and tap the like if you're into real, raw stories that dig into betrayal, heartbreak, and survival. It helps us keep bringing you these true tales. Anyway, I dropped my bags by the door and gave a soft, "Hey, Sage." She mumbled something back without looking up. I walked past her, headed to the kitchen. Something smelled off. Not bad, just different. Like cologne that wasn't mine. And a coffee mug on the counter, one I didn't recognize. It had a logo for some bar out in West Haven, a place I'd never even been. There were 2 lipstick smudges on the rim. Now I've been married to Eloise for 13 years. I know every mug in that cabinet. I bought half of them myself. That mug didn't belong in our house. I stood there in the kitchen for a second, trying to make sense of it, but nothing added up. Sage was still pretending I didn't exist in the other room. And my wife, nowhere to be found. No note, no text, nothing. It was just me, an unfamiliar mug, and a gut feeling I couldn't shake. And that's how it started. That's the moment I felt the first crack, the one that eventually split my whole world in half. Let me back up a bit. You need to understand how we got here before we dive into where it all fell apart. I met Eloise Bradley on a rainy Friday evening in a grocery store. Real cliché stuff. I reached for the last box of cereal, and so did she. We both laughed, said something about fate, and next thing I knew, we were talking in the parking lot like we'd known each other forever. She had this laugh, loud, unfiltered, the kind that made strangers look. She called it ugly, but I thought it was honest. The world's too quiet without that kind of joy. She told me right away that she was a single mom. Her daughter Sage was 4 at the time, all curls and big eyes and attached to her mom's hip like Velcro. She didn't try to hide her past either. Said Sage's dad, Ellis Newman, bailed when she caught him cheating for the second time. Walked out and never looked back. At the time, I remember thinking, what kind of man leaves a kid like that? I told myself I'd never do that. Not to a woman, and especially not to her child. We started dating slow. I didn't want to rush into Sage's life until I knew it was real. But after 6 months, she was calling me Richie, then Rick, and then one day just Dad. And that was the moment I knew I was in for the long haul. We got married in the fall. Simple backyard wedding. Nothing flashy. Just close friends, cheap champagne, and Sage as our flower girl in a dress that was 2 sizes too big. From day one, I treated Sage like my own blood. Parent-teacher meetings, I was there. Dance, recitals, field trips, scraped knees, broken hearts. All of it. I never once said, "You're not my kid." Not even in a joke. She was mine in every way that counted. But love like that, it costs you. I put off promotions to stay closer to home. Took jobs I didn't love just to make sure Eloise had time to go back to school. Chase her dream of starting custom interior design business. I gave them everything. The house we lived in, that was my down payment. The second car she drove, I bought that. The braces on Sage's teeth, the dog, the weekend trips to the lake, me. And I wasn't keeping score. I did it because I loved them. But not everyone thought it was such a great idea. My best friend, Anderson Clayton, he wasn't a fan of Eloise from the start. Said she had eyes like someone always thinking 5 moves ahead. I brushed him off. Said he was just being overprotective, bitter from his own divorce. But one day, this was maybe 2 years into the marriage, he sat me down after a barbecue and said, "Man, I don't want to mess things up, but are you sure she's as into this as you are? I see how you look at her, but I don't see her looking at you the same way." It hit me like a slap. I defended her, of course. Told him he didn't understand her the way I did. He dropped it, but I could tell he didn't believe a word I said. Looking back now, he saw it before I did. The imbalance, the slow withdrawal, the way Eloise had this switch, warmth when she wanted something, cold when she didn't. And as for Sage, for a long time she was the glue. We bonded over pizza nights and sci-fi movies. She called me when a boy broke her heart sophomore year. I drove 3 hours to pick her up from college when she had a panic attack during midterms. But somewhere along the way, the girl who used to sit in my lap and beg for piggyback rides started keeping secrets. And I didn't notice because I trusted them, both of them, completely. That was my first mistake. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they were always like this. For years we were happy, or at least I thought we were. But there's a strange thing about betrayal. It doesn't usually come out of nowhere. It's been building quietly while you weren't looking. And then one day it just explodes. I was just too busy loving them to see the fuse burning. And now, well, now I can see the smoke was there the whole time. You know the scariest part about being betrayed? It's not the lying, not the cheating, not even the heartbreak. It's the slow fade, the moment you realize the person next to you has already left, even though they're still sitting right there. It started small. Eloise started spending more time on her phone. Nothing out of the ordinary at first. Scrolling social media, laughing at memes, showing me a funny video of some toddler karate chopping a birthday cake. Normal stuff. But over time, the phone became a wall. She'd tilt the screen away when I walked by. Her texts suddenly needed passwords. One night, I got up at 2 a.m. to grab some water and saw her in the living room, sitting on the couch, texting someone with a smile I hadn't seen in months. When I asked who it was, she flinched, like a kid caught sneaking cookies. "Oh, it's no one," she said, locking the screen. "Just Sage showing me a TikTok." But it wasn't. Sage was asleep. I knew, because I'd passed her room on the way to the kitchen and heard the soft snoring she'd had since she was a kid. I didn't call Eloise out. I wanted to believe it was harmless, but it didn't stop there. The late nights started. "Work's been crazy," she'd say. "Client meetings are running longer. I'm trying to land this big new design project." I tried to be supportive. Hell, I even cooked dinner some nights, left a plate for her in the microwave. I bragged about her at work. My wife's building her dream business. But the weird thing? She never talked about this big project. No excitement, no showing me mood boards or fabric samples like she used to. Just vague mentions and exhaustion. And Sage, she changed too. She used to tell me everything. But suddenly, she was glued to her phone like her mother, whispering when I came into the room. One night, I walked into the kitchen and overheard her on the phone saying, "No, he has no clue. He still thinks she's working late." She saw me and went pale. I asked who she was talking to. She smiled, shrugged. "Kenzo, we're planning a surprise for Mom's birthday." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But something about the way her eyes darted and her tone flattened afterward, it didn't sit right. Then came the hotel charge. I was paying off our joint credit card one evening, sitting at the dining table like I did every month. There it was, a $218 charge from a boutique hotel just 40 minutes away. Not out of town, not a resort, just a sleek little place by the lake known for, you guessed it, discretion. I stared at that line on the bill for 5 minutes straight. The room was booked for a Friday night. The same night, Eloise claimed she had to spend the night at the warehouse because some late inventory shipment had gone haywire. It didn't make sense. She worked in interior design. What warehouse? So I asked her about it. She blinked at me, like I just asked her to explain quantum physics. Oh, that was for a client. What kind of client books a hotel under your name? I asked. She hesitated. They wanted me to get a feel for the space. Take photos, assess lighting, room layout, that kind of thing. Bullsh asterisk T. There were no photos, no notes, no receipts. Just a woman sitting across from me, fidgeting with her wine glass and avoiding eye contact. Still, I didn't yell. I didn't accuse her. I just nodded slowly and said, "Okay." But that night, something shifted in me. I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed next to her, listening to her breathe, wondering if the woman I loved was still in there, or if she was already long gone. And in the darkness, it hit me like a freight train. I wasn't just losing my wife. I was losing my daughter too. Because Sage, the girl I helped raise, the one I'd carried through 100 meltdowns, she was lying too. She'd picked her side. It's funny what you find when you're not even looking. A few weeks after that hotel bill incident, I was cleaning out the guest room bookshelf. We'd been talking about turning it into a little reading nook, something Eloise always said she wanted. Thought maybe if I surprised her with it, we'd reconnect somehow. Like maybe all we needed was a cozy project to bring us back together. I was halfway through stacking old hardcovers when one book slipped from my hand and hit the floor. The Secret Garden of all things. A childhood favorite of Sage's. When I picked it up, something was sticking out of the middle pages. A photo, folded once, worn edges. I opened it slowly. There she was, Eloise, and next to her, Ellis Newman, her ex-Sage's biological father, the same guy who walked out on them over a decade ago. They were standing in front of that same boutique hotel by the lake, smiling, arms wrapped around each other like they never missed a day, like the years hadn't happened, like I didn't exist. I sat on the floor for a long time. No music, no thoughts, just that photo burning in my hand. And when I finally got up, I didn't say a word. I slipped the photo into my wallet and waited. That night, I showed it to her. She looked up from her phone, fake surprised, like she hadn't seen it before. "Oh, that's old," she said, brushing it off like it was nothing. I said, "You're wearing your new coat in it." She blinked. Caught. Well, it was a one-time lunch. He reached out. Closure. Closure. Right. I could feel the lie just sitting between us. thick like smoke. I wanted to believe it, but the truth was already clawing its way up. That night, I drove over to Anderson's. I handed him the photo without saying a word. He looked at it, shook his head, and let out a sigh that said everything I was too proud to admit. He poured 2 whiskeys and said, "You ready to find out how deep this rabbit hole goes?" Next day, he helped me install a GPS tracker under Eloise's car. Not one of those flashy movie ones, just a basic little device, easy to hide, connects to an app on your phone. He also gave me a mini audio recorder that clips under the passenger seat. Said, "If she's cheating, it's going to come out when she's comfortable and thinks no one's listening." I felt like a damn spy in my own marriage. The worst part, I hated doing it. I didn't want to be that guy, the one snooping and sneaking around. But I was tired of being lied to, tired of pretending everything was fine. The tracker pinged the hotel 3 times in 1 week. Same hotel, same late-night check-ins, no receipts, no client meetings, just unexplained absences and new excuses. Monday, she said she had a networking dinner. Wednesday, she claimed Sage needed a ride from campus. Friday, she told me she was at Braylon Ballard's baby shower. Funny thing, Braylon moved to Arizona 6 months ago. I checked the audio. Ellis's voice was clear, smooth, familiar in the worst way. "Can't believe we waited this long," he said, laughing. Eloise answered, "I forgot how easy it was with you." Easy. 10 years of marriage, raising a child who wasn't mine, paying the bills, giving up promotions, and she said it was easy with him. A man who abandoned her, who left Sage, who only crawled back into her life when it was convenient. I sat in the garage that night, engine off, lights out. Just me and my phone, playing the audio over and over. And that's when it all clicked. The secret smiles, the hotel charges, Sage's whispering, the distance, the shift, all of it. She wasn't just cheating on me with her ex. My stepdaughter, the girl I raised, was helping her hide it. I'd given everything to that family, and now I was the outsider, the third wheel, the ghost in my own home. And just like that, the man who promised never to walk away was finally considering the door. It was a Thursday night when I finally heard it. I had just pulled into the driveway after a late shift. Didn't go inside right away. Sat in the car for a few minutes, scrolling through the GPS logs and trying to convince myself I was being dramatic. Maybe it really was work. Maybe she was meeting clients. I opened the app tied to the audio recorder and hit play. Static for a few seconds. Then voices. Eloise and Ellis. Clear as day. "I'll be there around 7, she said, her voice soft, low. That tone she used when she wanted to feel desirable. Ellis laughed. "Room 214 again." "Of course," she whispered. "It's our spot now." Our spot. That line punched me straight in the chest. Not a spot. Not the hotel. Our spot. Like they'd been building something together. Like they were in a real relationship while I was sitting at home, folding laundry and making dinner for a woman who'd already left me in every way but legally. The next voice was the one that destroyed me. "Sage." I heard the front door close in the recording. Then her voice followed. "You told him you're with me tonight, right?" She was laughing, joking, like this was some rom-com plot and not a betrayal of the man who raised her. Eloise replied, "Of course. He won't check. He trusts me too much." Sage said, "I'll text him around 8. Say we're watching a movie at Kenzo's. That should hold him off." And that was it. That was the moment. You can get stabbed in the back 100 times and still limp forward. But hearing the child you raised, the one you loved like your own flesh, help someone hurt you? That's what breaks you. I sat in that car until the windows fogged. My hands were shaking, but not from anger, from grief. Pure guttural grief. And in that foggy windshield I saw her, not Eloise, but little Sage, maybe 8 years old, running through the backyard in that pink tutu she never took off, yelling, "Dea Wad! Come push me on the swing." God! She used to look at me like I was her whole world. I remember how tight she'd squeeze my hand in crowds, how she'd beg me not to leave the room until she fell asleep. Flash to now, the same girl, grown, helping her mother lie to me so she could sneak off to a motel with the same man who left them both like garbage years ago. And for what? Charm? A Porsche? Some twisted idea of fairy tale reconciliation? I didn't sleep that night. Didn't eat. Didn't even cry. I just went numb. By morning, I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to break dishes or scream or beg or even demand an apology. I was going to leave. Quietly. Completely. Because what's the point in fighting for a place in a house that no longer has room for you? I walked inside that morning like a ghost. Eloise was at the table, pretending to scroll her email. Sage was eating toast, acting like everything was fine. I looked at both of them and realized they didn't even feel guilty. Or maybe they were just that good at pretending now. And me? I was done pretending. The living room smelled like cinnamon that morning. Eloise had lit one of those candles she only brought out when she wanted to set the mood. Maybe she felt the tension. Maybe she was trying to cover it. Sage was sitting on the edge of the couch, scrolling through her phone, pretending not to notice me, just like she'd been doing for weeks. I walked past both of them, slow calm, not because I wasn't angry, but because I'd already decided how this would go. I went into the office, grabbed the manila folder off my desk, and came back. I dropped it on the coffee table right between them. Eloise looked up first, confused. Sage barely blinked. "What's this?" Eloise asked. I didn't answer. I just sat down across from them and opened it. Inside were printed GPS logs, screenshots from the tracker app, and a copy of the hotel receipts. Every visit, every excuse, every lie. And then I pulled out the last thing, a tiny black flash drive. "Play that," I said. Eloise reached for it slowly, like it might burn her fingers. She didn't move to plug it in, so I did it for her. Slotted it into the TV's USB port and hit play. And there it was, her voice, clear as glass. "I'll be there around 7. Then Ellis. "Room 214 again." Then Sage. "You told him you're with me tonight, right?" They both froze. Eloise covered her mouth. Sage dropped her phone. Silence. I let it play until the end, then turned off the TV and stood up. "I want you both to listen carefully," I said, "because this is the last conversation I'm ever going to have with either of you." Eloise jumped in first, her voice cracking. "Richard, I wasn't serious. I got confused." "Confused?" I repeated. "Was it confusion when you checked in 4 times? When you said, 'It's our spot now'? Or when you let the man who abandoned you walk right back in while I was paying your bills and raising your kid?" She started crying then. Big performative sobs. She tried to reach for me, but I stepped back. "Don't. Please don't." Then came Sage. She stood up, red in the face, eyes wet but angry, not guilty. "You're overreacting," she snapped. "You were always just too much. Too good. Too boring. You made Mom feel trapped." That one hit harder than I thought it would. Trapped. I said. I was the only one who stayed when everyone else walked out. "You were like a dad, but you were never really my dad," she said, arms crossed. "You don't get it. You don't understand what they had." She actually said that. She actually defended him. I looked at her, not the little girl in the tutu, not the kid who used to beg me for movie nights, but a grown woman with ice in her voice, defending the man who walked out on her and the one who stuck around. And just like that, I knew. I wasn't just cheated on. I'd been used. Financially. Emotionally. For 15 damn years, I was the one who stepped up, and in the end, I was disposable. That's when I said it. You two can have each other. You deserve each other. I walked to the hallway, grabbed the duffel bag I had packed 2 nights before, and slung it over my shoulder. Eloise called after me. You're really walking away? Just like that. I turned at the door. No, Eloise. You walked away. I'm just finally catching up. I stepped outside, closed the door behind me, and for the first time in weeks, breathed. No more secrets. No more pretending. No more trying to fix something that was already dead. I didn't go back that night, or the next. I never slept in that house again, and I didn't look back, because you can't build a life with someone who's already digging your grave. You ever notice how quiet the world gets after something breaks? Not like a plate hitting the ground or a door slamming. I mean real life breaking. Trust, love, a family. That kind of silence. It's heavy. Like your ears are ringing, but nothing's actually making noise. That's what it felt like the day after I left. I drove around for a couple hours, no destination. Just me and the hum of the road. Somewhere between guilt and relief, I ended up pulling into the driveway of an old friend, Stephen Williamson. We go way back. Navy buddies. He opened the door in his flannel pajama pants, saw my face, and said, "You need whiskey or coffee?" I picked whiskey. He didn't ask questions, just handed me the bottle, pointed me to the guest room, and said, "Stay as long as you need." And I did. 3 days passed before my phone buzzed. Eloise. First, a wall of texts, then voicemails. I made a mistake. Please come home. It didn't mean anything. Can't we talk about this like adults? The irony. She cheated like a teenager and wanted to fix it like an adult. Then came the guilt trip texts. You're just going to throw away 15 years. We were happy once. Don't you remember? And maybe that one would have worked, if not for the next message that came in. From Sage. Just 3 words. It wasn't that bad. I stared at that message for a full minute. It wasn't that bad. Like I was overreacting to being lied to. Like catching the woman I loved sneaking off to a hotel with the man who left them, was just a small misstep, a hiccup, a bad week. I didn't reply. I didn't ask for an apology. I didn't fight. I blocked them both. Phone, email, socials, gone, cold. I wasn't trying to hurt them. I just needed silence. I needed peace. And for once, I needed to think about me. But here's the thing no one tells you about betrayal. Even when you cut them off, the memories don't stop calling. Everywhere I went, I saw ghosts of my old life. The grocery store where Sage used to beg for those sugar-loaded cereals. The lake where Eloise and I kissed under fireworks that one summer. The corner cafe where I surprised her with the keys to her business office. They weren't happy memories anymore. They were landmines. Every flashback, her laughter, her hugs, Sage's homemade Father's Day cards, they all felt fake now. Like I'd been living in a dream that someone else had written. And when I finally woke up, the dream didn't come with me. Only the ache did. Stephen tried to help. He told dumb jokes, dragged me to the gym, even tried setting me up with a woman named Rosalie Ponce, his neighbor who worked in HR and baked killer banana bread. She was sweet, too sweet, I wasn't ready. Not yet. At night, I'd lie in Stephen's guest room, staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the little ways I gave myself to them. The sacrifices, the quiet moments, the days I let my dreams go so they could chase theirs. And now I was the ghost, the memory, the guy they used to know. I didn't expect healing to come from a broken coffee maker and a busted air conditioner. It had been about 2 months since I walked out. I was still at Stephen's place, floating somewhere between angry and numb, when he suggested I tag along to a local veteran center. Said they needed help fixing up a few things. I figured why not? Free time was all I had. What started as a quick favor turned into something more. Fixing a door here, patching drywall there. Then someone handed me a clipboard and asked if I'd be willing to talk to a group of younger vets dealing with reintegration. So I did. And for the first time in weeks, I felt useful again. It wasn't about pretending to be okay or stuffing down the pain. It was just real people, real problems, no BS. Guys who'd been through worse and still stood up the next day. And somehow through that I stood up too. Then one day, out of nowhere, I ran into Catherine Randolph. We went to college together. She was the smart one in our friend group, always reading something 3 levels above the rest of us. We bumped into each other at a small bookstore downtown. I recognized her right away. Same sharp eyes, same sarcastic smile. She laughed when she saw me. "Richard Kirk? You still owe me $20 from freshman year." We grabbed coffee. Turned out she was widowed 5 years back. No kids, just her and a stubborn cat named Langston who ruled her apartment like a tyrant. We talked for hours about life, mistakes, second chances, how everything feels like it's falling apart until it doesn't. There was no pressure, no flirting, just 2 people carrying their scars like war medals, realizing that sometimes the right people show up after the worst ones walk away. And somewhere in the middle of that, I felt peace. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't thinking about Eloise, or Sage, or Ellis. Speaking of Ellis, word got around. He cheated again. Barely 6 weeks after I left, Eloise caught him messaging another woman. Classic pattern. She thought she was special, but turns out she was just next. They fought. She tried to fix it. He ghosted her. Poetic, right? He did to her exactly what he did all those years ago. Only this time, there was no Richard around to pick up the pieces. And Sage? She dropped out of college. No real explanation, just stopped going. Her friends said she moved back in with her mom for a while, then left. Now, she's living with some guy named Boone Blankenship on the other side of town. Barely speaks to Eloise. Their picture-perfect family dream crashed even faster than I thought it would. Every now and then, someone sends me updates. Not because I ask, but because they think I'd want to know. I don't. Not really. I don't feel anger anymore. Not like before. Just distance. Eloise made her choices. Sage made hers. And me? I'm making mine now. I still visit the Veterans Center every week. Still grab coffee with Catherine on Sundays. Still working on forgiving myself for staying too long, but also learning how strong I had to be to finally leave. Sometimes the best kind of closure isn't slamming the door. It's walking away and realizing you never needed that door in the first place. Funny thing about pain, it doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just fades, quietly, slowly, until one day you wake up and it's just gone. These days, I'm not angry anymore. Not at Eloise. Not at Sage. Not even at myself. I've got my own place now. Small, quiet, just outside town. A front porch with a creaky swing and a dog named Grady who snores louder than any grown man I've ever known. Catherine's part of my life now, not in some grand fairy tale kind of way. We're just two people who've seen too much and still manage to find something worth holding on to. She makes me laugh when I forget how. I make her pancakes on Sundays, even though she prefers toast. We balance each other. I don't check my phone for messages from Eloise anymore. Don't wonder if she's moved on. I don't care if she has. That story's over. The book is closed. But about a month ago I got a letter. From Sage. Handwritten. Just a single page. Said she'd been thinking about everything. About me. About what you said. What you didn't say. She asked if we could meet for coffee. Just to talk, she wrote. No pressure. No expectations. Just me and you. The old me, the man who raised her, loved her like his own, he would have jumped at the chance. But this me? The man I had to become? I haven't answered. Maybe I will. One day. Maybe I won't. Because the truth is, when someone shows you who they are, you believe them. And when someone throws away your love like a receipt, you don't go digging through the trash to get it back. I gave them both everything. And when the moment came, they chose a liar over the man who never left. So I did what they never thought I would. I left, and I never looked back. Dear listeners, what would you do if you were in Richard's shoes? Would you answer that letter from Sage? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story hit home for you, please like, share, and subscribe.